we're not going to act like we don't have children that are siblings. We're not going to act like we're not married to the same man, and we're not going to act like Fatima going to sit up here and let you hit Nyla. That's
Right.
what we're not going to do. Those are three
Right.
things we're not going to do.
I know that being a co-wife coach, as private as we want to be,
Yeah.
but being out there, being a coach, being out there creating programs, you have retreats that you do, things like that. How was the transition of saying, okay, I'm going to go from being very private about my life, my marriage, my this polygynous lifestyle, and kind of be in the public eye now, of helping people, but also putting my life out there.
So it was just a little scary, just a little bit. And the reason why I say it was a little scary because I had like my skin wasn't that thick during
Mm.
that time because
Mhm.
I really do value my family, and I value our our life and our privacy as well. But I also felt that there was something that I had to offer to other women that
Mhm.
may have possibly been in the same situation as myself. And there was moments where in the beginning, especially on social media, and this is we're talking like years ago, Facebook, I don't even think Instagram, I think Instagram was new, may have been.
Mhm.
So I would have other women that would talk and say, "Oh, you're a part of the oppressive, behaviors of women, and you're
Yeah.
acting, you're teaching them illegal actions, and
Mhm.
you're bringing them down, and this, that, and the fourth." And it was a lot. It was a lot. To this day, it's still a lot, but my skin is a little thicker now. I grew into my inner Philly. But back then, I was like, oh my gosh, and it got to the point where I would leave the rooms, like,
Mhm.
leave the group or whatever, because it was
Mhm.
too much. And it was like once one person say it, then you got like tons of people like, yeah, gang up on her.
Exactly.
Oh.
So it was
Mm.
definitely a challenge. It was a bit scary, but I knew that this was a part of what my purpose
Mhm.
was, and is currently is, because the next day I was ready to do it again. And the
Right.
next day I was ready to do it again, and my skin got a little thicker. And I'm like, you know what? Let me start doing this. And then the page came, and then our first live came, and then all the other lives came. And I look at those videos and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, wow. And I was just like, I literally see the growth,
Mhm.
scary moments. I see the nerves and all that stuff.
Mm.
But it was just like, it was for a greater good, and a really great purpose and cause, as far as to help with the healing of
Mhm.
the hearts of women
Yeah.
that were going through some of these same things. So it was
Mhm.
worth it. It was definitely worth it. But it was definitely, in the beginning, it was for sure a bit of a struggle, because I
Yeah.
was, a little, just like, I wasn't worried about my family too much. Only because they weren't on there. It was just me.
It was
You know,
just
Yeah.
it's like, everybody's on stage and you get pushed out on stage by yourself. You're like, wait,
do it.
now, they never said they were going to join me, but at the same time, it was something that was a scary moment, like you're like stage fright. But
Mm.
once you're
Yeah.
out there a little bit longer and you start moving your shoulders a little bit, you start warming up to the point where you're like, I
Yeah.
got this. And that's how it is. Now you can't shut me up. Like I'm ready. Like I'm always
Oh,
ready.
So powerful.
it's amazing, and it's so great that they
It
can't,
is.
because we need more of you.
We sure do.
And
And we
you
know,
also.
we totally know vibe what you're saying, Mecca, because you do build a tougher skin. I mean, my stuff is pretty. I mean, once your family is like, it makes the strangers a little bit easier to deal. I'm like, my mama don't like me in polygyny, so I really don't care what you think,
Right.
So it's like that for me. So I'm like, if I can't convince her, I'm not trying to deal with anybody else. However, one thing that I think we all agree on, there's an importance that we must emphasize on togetherness as co-wives and having each other's
Yes.
backs. So I would love for you to talk about, why is it so important to have each other's back? Now, some people are like, why do you care? And I'm like,
Right.
look, I might not be close to her right now, and it was some drama going on where we were together, and but we weren't together. We were in the same place, and somebody said something crazy. And this was the earlier years. I said, "Yeah, I know, but I bet you ain't nobody gonna touch her."
Right.
And he was like, "Oh,
Right.
yeah."
Right.
Period. So because we're not gonna act like we don't have children that are siblings. We're not going to act like we're not married to the same man, and we're not going to act like Fatimah going to sit up here and let you hit Nyla. That's
Right.
what we're not going to do. Those are three
Right.
things we're not going to do.
Right.
And after that, it kind of set the tone. And careful,
Mm.
they don't talk, but she got hands if you try to hit her co-wife.
Right.
So why is it important for women that are married to the same man, that are in polygyny, to have each other's backs and be a unit, or be together, or protect the family
Mhm.
and each other?
It is extremely important because you just mentioned the unit or the unification of
Mhm.
the family is what holds the family, at least the foundation of the family together for us to be able to stand strong in our
Mhm.
individual marriages as well as our parenting and co-parenting amongst the children. Now, when you were mentioning, when you were talking, and after the last comment that I used, like I was literally thinking about one of my co-wives that is on social media, and as she follows me, and when she sees stuff now, she be ready to go, like go in. And or she'll see that I might be on my phone. I'm like, oh my gosh. She's like, what? Take my phone. And it's just, I was like, no, this is my business. She was
Don't
like,
do it.
sure.
This is threats. Child, I'm
So,
gonna
so
see my
it's
co-wife
always
alone, child.
it's really great because in reality you feel like you have protection, and it's
Mhm.
not to sit here, and it's a safe space.
Yeah.
You want to
Yes.
be safe within your marriage, but you also want to be safe in your family structure
Yes.
because that
So
man
true.
may not always be around. Like if
Mhm.
he's traveling or if he's away, you still want to feel like you have some type of
You got
safe
somebody.
Mm.
structure as far as like, listen, let me just check on my sister, or my co-wife, to make sure that she good, to make sure that the kids good. Maybe we might try something because sometimes some people, depending on what the situations are, they may get lonely.
Yeah.
They won't
Yeah,
tell you that.
that part.
They may feel like they're by themselves. They won't tell you that. But
Mhm.
Right.
at least a sisterhood, which is what I speak on a lot. Like you might not have a friendship, but you can have a decent sisterhood where that
Yes.
care, concern, safety, and protection is shared across the table as far as with all parties, all adult parties
Yeah.
involved, because those energies are going to affect those individual marriages, and it's also going to affect the children. The last thing you want is your children to see how mommy is acting this way towards sister such and such. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna act
Mhm.
that way,
Yeah.
or I'm not gonna respect her, or I'm not gonna listen to her, or
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
want to go over there, or I don't want to build a relationship with my other siblings or the other children. And that causes discord.
So true.
Hmm.
It disrupts the family structure.
Mhm.
And
That's so true.
it's really hard. So and I always say sometimes people, I hear other women, they'll say, "Oh, well, I don't need a co-wife to have that type of sisterhood.
Right.
I get that from my friends." You're right, but guess what? When your friends is home and they got their own husband and their own kids, it's
Mhm.
only but so much that they can invest in you. It's only but
It's different.
so much that
Yep.
they can help you
Mhm.
with. It's only so much that they're going to be able to understand and relate to. But when it's the women within that same circle that same unified family, then it is a little different, because that's it, hopefully, especially if there's at least a respectful sisterhood that is established, that sister gonna have your back.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
like you said, y'all might not be, on the best accords as far as like, friendship wise, but she not gonna let nothing bad happen to you.
Right.
No, that ain't
I
that's
love
not
that.
happening.
That is so awesome,
Yeah.
and that you really spoke about how important that is, because there are people that say, "Well, I don't want to know who she is, or I don't want to have a relationship with her, or I don't want to, do these things like
Yeah.
that." And you show how important that is, even with the looking into the future of everything. Like, what is that going to look like with the kids? What is that going to look like with the family structure? So
Mm.
that is, I'm so glad that you said that, because we can talk about it till we're
Child,
blue in the
people
face.
get vicious
but,
out there.
but it's so good. Like I stated before, you're 20, plus years, or almost 20 years, in this
Yeah,
already.
that's big.
So
Mashallah.
to guys, listen, sisters,
Right.
all of y'all, listen, because this is some amazing gems.
Yes.
I have a question, kind of going off of that. How would you advise sisters if they haven't established that relationship, or maybe they're looking to, or they're nervous,
Yeah.
it's an idea in their mind, maybe, like, what would be your advice, like, as far as first steps to take in, I guess, starting that type of relationship, or building a relationship that you, I guess, at least cordial, or at least
Yeah. At
know that this
least.
person has your back when
Yeah.
when the chips are down, so to speak.
So first and foremost, get to know the woman as the woman, not as his other wife.
Hmm.
Sometimes when it comes to that introduction of communication and getting
Mm,
to know, it's best to do it obviously outside of him,
yeah.
as far as him not being there. And it's always best to do it where you're looking and you're going to meet up with this person, this woman, this individual, to
Mhm.
understand and know who she is and how she is. Learn more about her. And for her to
Hmm.
do the same as far as with you. But separating the man out of that first initial communication, form of
Mhm.
communication, and be transparent. Like, listen, girl, I'm nervous. I don't know about you, but I'm nervous.
Right.
Sometimes break the ice, because sometimes
How
the
are
other
you feeling
person
those days?
Those days was rough.
like, I don't know. I've been hearing so much about you. I don't know how you gonna receive me, but I just want to let you know I'm nervous. And the other person would laugh, and that laugh literally is chipping away from whatever wall that
Takes the
is
Mhm.
tension
built.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It loosens the tension a little bit.
Yes.
And then the setting, wherever you go or whatever you guys choose to do and how you choose to do it, that also helps loosen the tension
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Like if you're
Hmm.
going out for a meal, always say, listen, like the universal ally is food. Okay?
Hello. Hello, me
Foodie.
too.
It's
Yeah.
food. So,
Yeah.
you might go to a
Hey,
place wherever, maybe
and
it
wait
might be
till my heart
your
is through my stomach.
I
listen.
eat like a bird and I play in food. Like I'm one of them people that disrespects chicken wings. I'm one of those, and then I have to give it to
That is
family
my
so they can
co-wife.
eat it right.
No. See now, if we ever around, I will not
Chicken
give you
nuggets.
chicken wings. I will give you chicken cutlets.
You got to give me them
Exactly.
tenders like a 5 year
Boneless
old.
wings.
You have to, because I'm too disrespectful. So I knew that. I love that you said that, because that works every time.
Mhm.
Because we went through something similar, and
Mhm.
Nyla had said to me, we weren't coaches right there,
Yeah.
but she had said, before my nerves get the best of me. And what happened was, it gives the other wife, okay, there's a human quality here. It's
Yes.
not this robotic
Yes.
person that's void of feeling, that just came, swooped down, stole my homework, and went on by her day. Because that's what people think. And I'm like, I didn't build him. He didn't come in a box and I built him up and made him what he is. I would never be so arrogant to say that, but it does work, because it gives the human quality. It's an icebreaker. It's such an icebreaker when somebody says, look, I'm nervous. Look,
Yeah.
I'm sad. Look, I'm tired of this.
Yeah. Anxiety.
I got anxiety. I'm shaky, whatever the case may be. So that is true, to try to take the shift off of the focus off of our husbands, because we pour so much into that wife thing, and then when we meet another wife, and then we got the same husband, and it's like, wait a minute, you already making it about him. So that's so true. And then when you are communicating, this is where some wives fumble. They go, well, we won't talk about him, but then the subsequent wives can tend to get met with this barrage of questions. Like it's a really terrible communication, although you're noble in saying I'll talk to you, but then when you meet, it's like, what did they say, killing a fly with a machine gun? It's like, wait a minute, you don't have to ask every question. So how do they make this smoother transition? So we talked about, let's not make it about him, but how should that communication look when you're making that first initial contact? I think a lot of wives get tripped up right there, and they just are so like they're met with such resistance. They're like, yeah, but you married him, and then it's like, wait a minute, hold on, we were just supposed to meet, say hey, So what's a good way to make this transition healthy for both wives or all three if they're meeting?
It's so many different ways that you can actually approach that. I would say one of the best ways, and I use this with uh with the women I work with as far as in sessions, writing a letter initially before the meetup and sharing it with that individual. That letter is going to allow you to release and share the feelings and things that you got going on internally. So that way at least the other party is familiar. And of course that letter should be transparent. It should not be ill intent, but it can be transparent as to how you're feeling. And you can set up a way where it starts off with sharing, and maybe the middle could be, I understand, the understandings of the process, or maybe the misunderstandings of the process, and then what your possible goals are as far as within that family and as an individual. Well, maybe with the family, because the individual ones, those may be too personal, but just the family goals as with you and her, and I guess the whole unified family, maybe one or two goals that you would like to be able to share. When you give that letter and share that letter with the other wife that you're going to meet with and spend time with, it gives two things. One, it gives you the opportunity to share everything that you're feeling without any interruptions.
Right.
Yep, that part.
The second thing is it allows her to understand where you're coming from. So that way, when she sees you and when you see her, y'all have an understanding as to what's going on. And you also have an understanding of what goals you might want to set. And you can actually start about that. Like, girl, I read your letter. First and foremost, wow, that was something. Acknowledge her feelings. I understand how you feeling, and I just
Yeah.
want to let you know I don't mean any ill intent. And like, I just want you to know that I'm actually here, and I know it's but so much that I can do, but I'm at least here as a support. I don't want you to think that I'm here as a harm. And so I understand you may not understand this, but this is how we received, or this is how we see the possible structure of the family initially, at least when we were talking and when we got married. And I saw your goal. I saw your goal number two. Girl, listen, your goal number two was my goal number one. So let's see if we can help each other on that. Like, just being able to have that
Right.
like that, but it's just like giving at least acknowledging each other and where you are, in order for you to be able to support one another, understand one another, and work towards, again, a strong sisterhood, so that way that family can thrive.
I love
That's
that.
so awesome.
I ain't never thought to write a letter. It probably would have had Coach Nyla confused, but that's such good advice, because it does. It's like an intro, to who I am. And I said you would accept it from anybody else. So why wouldn't you accept a letter from your co-wife? It's something you can keep forever too. It's so sentimental and so powerful.
Another reason why I keep it, because when you're able to have years added, you can go back and look at the growth. Like, look, girl, look at
Yeah,
how
the
we grow.
growth. Remember that? Right.
Remember this
Yeah.
letter?
Like, girl, look at this. Man, we
You know,
came
so
so
you get a chance
far.
to see the growth. You see the progress.
Love that.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's so good.
Such great advice.
I want to transition a little bit because
Sure.
it goes. We're talking about the 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 goals of the co-wives and building and
Mhm,
things like
mhm,
that.
mhm.
Okay, how about relatives, family members, those, the, I guess I want to say outside
Mm,
insiders,
yeah.
inside outsiders, or how you call that, where you have your parents
The
and
peanut
these other,
gallery.
the other people that is like, okay, I don't know what to even think about this. How was
Mm.
that for one? How was it for you, kind of talking about that with your with your parents or with your mom
That's
or anything
like,
like that, and then having it grow into kind of what it is now, where it's this, the moms will kick it without y'all. I've seen some stuff.
yeah. Yeah. They ain't playing.
I've seen some of your posts.
They ain't playing.
Listen, I will say for me, my mom, when I talked to my mom about it, she was like, if that's what you wanted, this your life, not mine. And if you're happy with it and and you're still supported and taken care of and so on and so forth, then more power to you.
Mm.
And my daddy he wasn't that open in the beginning. My daddy didn't like it, for his own personal reasons, because I guess it just looked too similar to some things that he may have been familiar with,
Mm.
just from a male's perspective.
Mm.
Sure.
And until I talked to him about it, I was like, listen, this ain't being done behind my back. This is not, and it's not even in my face. This is something that I actually support. And
Mhm.
this is not like infidelity. This is
Right.
Right.
marital relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just you be fine. But now he came to his senses, and over the years he's come to his senses. He's never been disrespectful. He just didn't necessarily like it.
Mhm.
Because he didn't understand it. Because he was
Right.
looking at it
Mm,
from a lens that was not
mm.
appropriate for my situation.
Mhm.
But now, oh my gosh, some of y'all may have seen my mama on, talk about our family, those her daughters, those her grandkids. You
Yeah.
Right.
know, listen, she supports me. She's been on lives with me before.
Mm.
And as I said in one of the videos, I said I raised her right.
Yes. No, I love that you said that because sometimes we have to teach them, they
Yeah,
don't know.
childhood
It's like, okay,
baby
well,
Right, they have
Pharaoh.
to
you don't
see
know,
it.
you don't know.
Yeah, they have to see it. And as far as like my co-wives, their families, I mean, I guess because they were open. It was never something that we like
That's nice.
tiptoed around. And they were like, okay. And once they was like they seen how things were, everybody's comfortable. But when we get the moms together, my mom, one of my co-wives' mom, because my other co-wife's mother is deceased. And so it's my mom, one of my co-wife's moms, and our mother-in-law. When they get together, they cut up like they like known each other for years.
Love that.
Alhamdulillah.
They're at when we have an events. Listen, my mom is not Muslim, but we what was it, last summer we did an Eid dinner, and my mom was there. She was like a part of the whole process, this, that, and the fourth, and she loved it. All of now, let me just say, I said my mother-in-law. Now, our husband comes from a polygynous family, so
Mhm.
3 out of 4 of his mothers, no, I'm sorry, yes, 3 out of 4 of his mothers were there, along with my mama and like the children and so on and so forth or whatever. And it was absolutely great. Like
Mm.
they get together, they talk, or like, when they get together, they talking and they cutting up or calling each other or maybe texting and this, that, and the fourth. It's a beautiful thing. It's
That's
really a beautiful thing, but it's based off of us. Like they riding off of
exactly
our
what I was going to ask. Hmm.
they ride off of our energy. If our energy
Oh
was
yeah,
good, like
totally,
hey,
totally.
yeah, they're going to support their children. If their children don't like it, then they want to support the dislike of it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's so true. I was thinking about our moms. I said, well, my biological mother, because my grandparents raised me, and I said they would really hit it off I'm like, they would really get along. And it's just so crazy how you just never know. And my mom was like, no, I'm good. And then what was funny, see how love works? My mother moved down the block from Coach Nyla's mother and had no idea that my co-wife's mother was her neighbor. I fell out. I fell out. I said, because subhanAllah, I said, you see how Allah is. She's been running and hiding all this time. And I'm like, bam, they're on the same block. And it was just, it felt triumphant because I'm like, Allah just designed so many things. But I'm like, if they could just talk, they'd be like two magnets and they would have a great time. So I love that there's hope. And I think a lot of wives need to understand that you might feel hopeless today. And then later on down the line, you don't know, and you don't know who you're going to need. We've needed each other in ways that I never dreamt. I mean, life, death, illness, all types of things. So that family and that blending and that togetherness is so important. I wish we could just drive the point home. If we could tell co-wives how important it is to at least try to blend everyone together for the bigger picture and the greater good of the tribe, because that's really what it is.
And that's I just love it. And I know the majority of this conversation was wives, the wives and polygyny, and because we are the wives in polygyny, and a lot of the times we do get a lot of the kind of the stresses, from the outside. I would say that the husbands kind of get it all around, but they deal with things a whole lot different than we do. So kind of bringing, the men of the hour, I guess, involved in it, like how, I guess my thing is that how important do you, or how important would you say that it is for wives to respect that leadership as well, when it comes to his decisions and his, even his wants or desires or his goals for what, even if you don't understand it, like how important is it? And not only how important is it, what advice would you give, to women that, have this different idea where it's like, well, it's not what I want. So, I don't know if this is something that you
I get it. You say respect the leadership. I'm like, well, wait a minute. What we talk about? We talk about marriage, right? Like, hello. And when respecting his leadership, now you might question his leadership or just his decision making when polygyny comes into the conversation. And so that right there within itself, it may shake the boat a little bit, but it should never shake your following. Yes, I said this. You know what? Like, it's so many different words that are like,
let's go there.
Say it.
Following, leadership, obedience. Oh gosh,
submission.
Permission. Yes, girl. It's a matter of understanding what that really means. He is your leader. He is the leader of the family. Now, don't get it twisted. Leaders mess up. Don't get it twisted. Leaders are not perfect. Leaders sometimes find out the hard way that maybe they made a wrong turn. Well, we've been in a car with a husband before, and he going the wrong way. And we try to give suggestions, and he like, I got this, and then realize that he went the wrong way. Who's he going to have to blame? Himself. You don't want to be just stand by, almost like my favorite movie, almost like Celia in The Color Purple. When she saw Mr. in the kitchen trying to cook for Suge.
Oh, yes.
She brought the
thing. She just sat there and just watched him.
Just watched and let it happen.
Like,
until he was about to blow up the house. Then she ran. Of course, she ran for cover. She didn't run away, but she ran for cover. But sometimes you gotta let them make those mistakes. Let them make those mistakes, and at least still you can be a reminder. I'm not gonna say support the mistake, because if you see that there's another way. It may not necessarily be for you to actually give that. Let me not say that part. You may give the suggestion, right, of correcting. But it is up to him. It is his final decision whether he's going to follow that or if he's going to go ahead and do what he wants. Now, if he go ahead and do what he wants and he finds out it is wrong and he saw what you suggested was correct, he's going to hopefully see like, okay, I understand where she's coming from on that.
Yeah.
And but at least, you know, she didn't disrespect me. At least, you know, there was still some sense of support, you know, to a
I love
certain
it.
extent. But at the same time, you know, I'm gonna have to learn on my own. It was my bad, my fault. Let me correct this. Let me learn. Because it's not about him listening to you. It's about really him doing what the creator with the with the Almighty actually placing on his path for him to do, for him to experience, for his own growth. It's also placed on you because this is your test too.
Yeah.
It's testing whether you're actually going to still follow the leadership of the helm, you know, the head of the household. And it's also going to be, you know, what if he does, you can speak a reminder, right? The next thing you can do is what? Pray about it, right? And then just see what happens. And whatever happens, you then also, depending on how the results are, because sometimes you have some men that still mess up and they mess up and they mess up and they mess up, then you got to make a decision. Like, is this, you know, for me? Is this the best thing for me? Because I'm suggesting and he's not getting it. And maybe we need to try another approach. Maybe I need to look at whatever, however that may be. But also, at least you yourself, I would hope, is not necessarily losing a sense of self. Like you're still staying on the path of doing that which is correct and right in the eyes of the Almighty Creator. At the end of the day, because even if for some reason, because I've seen this happen where men, they continue to do what they want to do regardless of what is suggested to them, and maybe it might be too much for that person to handle or is of no benefit for the other party of that, as far as like that wife or wives, and maybe they choose to, you know, go their separate ways. But sometimes that woman comes out with knowing what to avoid, knowing what to look out for, knowing that she was able to become stronger or better, or she grew from the situation. So even though that there was like a separation or, you know, going separate ways, there's still some gain that came from that situation. So just say, you know, listen to your husbands, and on top of that, have the conversations of try to understand where he's coming from as to why that's the decision that he's looking to make, in order for you to be able to even be more comfortable in your support of him in his leadership. But it's important because you don't want a man to feel as if he's leading a empty, you know, there's no flock basically, because everybody was bounced because of a word. He didn't even put anything into practice, because there's some women that want to leave without even the practice being made. But just trust in the Almighty Creator first and foremost, and also, you know, try to find an understanding in his decision making as he is, you know, still leading your family and also your marriage.
And that's why I like that you talked about that, because it's, wouldn't you agree that is being more of a person of influence, like having that influence, you know, for your husband, or, you know, with him, or
positive,
you know, being that positive influence instead of this controller, a person that's trying to make him do something, or, you know, make the decisions for him. So we can make the decisions for ourselves, you know. And like you said, if you have to leave, if you have to do these things, it's these type of things that's your decision to make. Not making a decision for what he's supposed to do, but make this decision on what you are going to do, what you are going to do, regardless of what his decision is going to be. Now, you could be influential, but he still is going to be the one that's going to make the decision, and respecting that decision, you know, as his decision, you know. So yeah.
Well, I like that Mecca said that he's gonna do what he's going to do. And I think as wives we go into it going, if we go into it saying he better not make a mistake versus he's going to make some mistakes and that's okay, then they're met with different energy. Then the judgment is taken out, and then it's easier to accept polygyny, to make it a long-term lifestyle for us as women, when we don't set the bar so high that they can't attain anything. It's just like, he ain't gonna never reach it anyway. So I'm just sit here in this judgment and just go at him that way. I'm like, if we say to them, look, I know you messed up and I know you didn't mean to, so I think, and we could do that as wives, as co-wives
Giving that
too.
grace.
Know that your co-wife might have a bad day.
Mhm.
She might mess up,
Mhm.
you might mess up, and it then enters that human quality. And we
Mhm.
should, like you said, give some grace.
Yeah.
It's so important to have a forgiving heart, especially in polygyny. It's just so, just as a human being, but especially in polygyny where there's so many moving parts and so many
Yeah.
people. Alhamdulillah.
So, what's going on with the retreats? You have any upcoming retreats? Some programs?
Courses, what's
What
up,
we got
girl?
going on? What does Mecca Nandi have in store?
Yes. So we do have the Co-Wise Retreat, the second
Yeah.
annual Co-Wise Retreat in November. That information actually is going to be released next weekend. So basically by September 1st.
Alhamdulillah.
Look out for that. And it's still virtual, but this is the last virtual event. This is the last
Inshallah.
retreat,
Yeah.
inshallah, because our intentions is for 2023 and onward to be destination location retreats. Now, I say
Nice.
destination locations because it's also including the men as of this year.
Mm.
Where the co-wise retreat is not just for women. There is also going to be a segment for that 3 day for the 3 days because it is a 3 day retreat for
Mhm.
the men to have their own one-on-ones. And I'm looking forward to the onward years destination locations because I'm looking to possibly have some guest speakers attend some of those events for both the sisters and the men. Hint, hint, wink,
So,
wink.
Wink, wink.
wank.
I love her.
Yes, but we definitely we have that, and there actually is going to be some courses dropping online very soon. Signature courses specifically for polygyny first and foremost, and these courses are also for both men and women. Um,
Mm.
I can't share too much because again, I like to leave things up for surprises, but there's always updates as far as for those who go to my website, which is the co-wifecoach.com, where if you sign up for the mailing list, all of that information is normally shared with our members there before we actually share it online as far as on social media.
Mhm.
So we have that, and
Mhm.
anybody that is a part of those communities, they get also some bonuses too. But nonetheless, that's what we have. The co-wise retreat is coming up in November, and I'm super excited.
Yeah,
Um,
I am
So
too.
proud of you,
I'm
Mecca.
excited about the destination locations because we got some really good destinations lined up, and it's not necessarily just the retreat as far as what you learn inside, but those destinations are also going to be supportive locations that's going to be able to allow those families that do attend to do their work outside of the actual workshops that come along with that retreat. So, and it kind of like
Alhamdulillah.
supports their growth and those connections. It's not always just not just with the husband and the wife, but also with those co-wives, because we're going to have some
Yeah.
side
Right.
activities just for women that is actually going to allow them to be able to possibly connect in different ways. Can't say, but I'm definitely
Mm.
looking forward to those.
So
Alhamdulillah.
awesome. And you had brought up your social medias, and where
Yes.
can people find you on social media? If they want to
Okay, so
connect.
on Facebook, I'm the page is Mecca the co-wife coach. On Instagram, I am at Mecca underscore Nandi. That's Nandi. And I'm on TikTok too. Everything is Mecca underscore. I'm sorry, Mecca underscore Nandi. That is that as far as on everything else outside of Facebook.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
You guys can see the links.
Yeah.
The
We're gonna leave them
links
there.
down there in the description. Okay. So make sure you check it out. Check it out. So yeah.
This has been great.
So my I guess my last question is, what would you like to leave? What would you like
Mhm.
to leave for those who are watching you, those who are learning from you,
Yeah.
those who are listening to
Mhm,
you,
mhm.
as even not just now or next week or anything like that,
Yeah.
but in the future, your
What's the
legacy.
legacy
What
going?
does that look like?
Mm.
What would you want people to get from Mecca Nandi?
That peaceful polygyny is possible.
Mhm.
It really is, especially from the woman's perspective. It is
Mhm.
definitely possible, but you have to also trust the growth. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid and scared of the discomfort, because
Yes.
Mhm.
there is um there's no growth in in your comfortability. Like, you could be comfortable in one space and you can sit there. Why? Because you're comfortable. How are you
Mhm.
going to be able to grow? How are you going to be able to grow forward or move forward in life or level up? You have to
Mhm.
sometimes challenge yourself. The challenges, the tests, the struggles, the hardships, all of those things are a part of that discomfort. But there's definitely mercy and growth on the other side of it. You just have to face
Mm.
fearlessly and be able to be open to that which it is actually taking you towards.
So true.
Alhamdulillah.
Mashallah.
So good. That's beautiful. Guys heard it. All right. So, and I say you guys, I'm talking about my sisters. You know how I talk, y'all. So, you heard it. You heard it from
Yeah.
Mecca Nandi, the co-wife coach, very
Mm.
dear friend. We love
So
speaking
proud
with
of
her. So, yes, make sure you check out the links in the descriptions. Make sure if you guys are not following Mecca Nandi, I don't know why not.
Why not?
Go ahead and follow. If you're not following us, I totally don't know why you're not.
Because it's
So
two of
definitely
y'all.
make sure you like, comment, subscribe.
Yes.
We love to hear what you have to
Yes.
say on this topic. Sometimes we may not like what you have to say, but we may have to, talk about this conversation, keep this conversation going and everything like that.
part.
Just like Mecca 90 said, throughout the interview, throughout the video, throughout the talk, that this is something that this is an ongoing conversation. This is
Yeah,
something
we gotta
that
keep
people
talking.
just may not even know that, I guess one of our things that we have to deal with is ignorance, in the, marketplace, or ignorance just in society about it.
Yes.
And not ignorance as in a bad way, just in ignorance as you just don't know. So, we're here, Becca 90's here, we have a plethora of other coaches and experts, and I
Yes.
can't think of the other word because I got a brain fart right now. You guys know how I operate.
Either.
That we will be putting in front of you, because it's not just us, and we want you guys to
Right.
see past, that is bigger than OPR. It's more than us out here that understand, just as Mecca 90 said, that positive polygyny is possible. See, I said it slow because if I would have said it fast, I would have got all tongue tied.
You'd be like, what? Exactly.
So until next time, make sure you are growing intentionally,
Loving fearlessly.
and connecting on a higher level every single day. Make sure you follow us, put your stuff in the comments, and all that other good stuff. And we'll see you next time, inshallah,
Inshallah.
God willing. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.
Peace.
We'd like to interrupt this video to let you guys know to make sure you are registered for the Women's Polygyny Masterclass. Yes, it's our 4-part Polygyny Masterclass with your coaches, Coach Nyla
and Coach Fatimah.
And we are going to talk about different things in preparing and thriving and growing in polygyny.
Yeah, and your co-wife connection. Everybody asks us, so we're going to go there. We're going to talk about all those things. We really hope you guys join us.
So make sure you click the link in the description and don't forget to register. We'll see you soon. Now let you get back to the video.